and then I make trip aces, and it's all over on open aces on 6th street. He's going to fold everything. Not a flush draw probably by 6th, but he's likely to have pretty much nothing in that spot. So same thing here. I think it's smart to make the smaller bet with the 9s. Doesn't really matter what you do. People should fold 4th street almost every time in that spot when you pair your door card on 4th. Okay, no limit. Here's what I was thinking. Okay, first of all, we're 200 big blinds deep. So regarding 3-bets, I can call more. I expect him to, since he doesn't know me from no limit, to think that I'm probably a limit player of some kind, and he'll expect me to play like most limit players do, which is less knowledgeably, more polarized ranges, playing it very carefully against 3-bets, maybe showing down a little too much, but definitely I expect him to try to run me over with 3-bets pre-flop and things like that. So I resolved to make some 4-bets, to make some plays going into it, because I know he's a top no-limit player. It may be playing into his hands a little bit to tangle with him so much in these games when I probably have a bigger edge in the limit games. But anyway, that was my plan, and that was my thinking about where he would put me. So it doesn't surprise me at all when he 3-bets me the first hand, and I decide I think about 4-betting, but I also think that this game is small for him in no limit. He probably can 5-bet shove very, very light. At least if it happens. I think it looks kind of movie if I 4-bet him he 3-bets me the first hand and I 4-bet him the first hand. I do expect him to shove light that first hand. After that, I'm not really sure, and I think probably not as light. So I decided to call because we're 200 big blinds deep, and my hand is difficult to read, and obviously I have position. I flop a pair on a drawless board, or not drawless board. There's a lot of gut shots, but I think it's a pretty straightforward call. I also have a backdoor flush draw, and that's a pretty nice turn card. I think when he double barrels the turn, while I expect him to double barrel a lot, it's not clear to me that I should just call here, because there's a problem. Because just calling, in my opinion, shows that I don't have a gut shot. Okay, that's the only draw out there. Raising, I obviously get nothing better to fold or worse to call. Maybe I get nothing worse to call, obviously. I maybe get a 9 to fold, although it's questionable. We're probably chopping anyway, if he has a 9. But I kind of feel like it turns my hand face up as either a king or a 9, and it puts me at a disadvantage going to the river, although I guess it's difficult for him to value bet a pair worse than kings, since I'm probably more likely to have a king than a 9. Anyway, I do decide to call. I say I'm not going to stack off to this guy immediately, not knowing anything about it, except that he's great at no limit. And thankfully, he gives up. I don't have to have a tough decision on the river. I guess I lean towards a fold on that river, and when he bets again. Just because my hand is so face up. I guess I would read the bet size if I think about it. Here, I make standard plays, calling, check calling, and I get a nice river card when the turn goes check check. Now I can make a value bet that looks maybe a little on the big side, to see if he wants to pay me off with just a king or just some other pair as a bluff catcher. He 3-bets me again very soon into the match, and I decide, in keeping with my thinking initially, I'm going to 4-bet him this time. Now I do expect to get credit, and for whatever it's worth, I get a fold. Helps that we're 200 big blinds deep too, and I'm comfortable playing my hand in position heads up there in a 4-bet pot. And it's obviously an easy fold if I get 5-bet. Here I decide to tentatively call down on some boards. Again, I just think he's going to barrel quite a bit in no limit. If I get to the river in this hand, especially if the ace-9 holds up, I will expect him to then value bet me extremely thinly and stop bluffing quite as much. So I was going to slow down the light call downs after this hand was shown down. He ends up making a bet this. I think it's a great bet size. I don't really know if it's a value bet or not. It looks like a value bet, but I'm not positive. I decided to pay it off, and he did make a nice value bet with sevens. I'm happy with the way the match is proceeding here, for sure. I do resolve to now play a little tighter within those light call down spots than I otherwise would. I felt like it was time for him to 3-bet me there, and I had queen 7. I just decided to muck it, so that's all I really thought about it. Here I'm hoping he 3-bets, so I can call, and I take a slightly unusual line, or unconventional line, I guess, which is betting twice in case he's trying to make like a light call, or if he has a 3, he pretty much has to call. So I decided to get my 2 streets here by betting the turn. It's problematic because if I get raised, I still don't really know what to do, and I probably err on the side of folding it. So I guess I'm bet folding. It doesn't come up. He just decides to muck his hand. And the no limit portion is over. Standard check back in position with the gut shot and nothing much else. I can turn a lot of 2-pair. They'll be happy. I expect him to do a fair amount of bluffing when this board goes check check. I can't really think of a reason to bet the turn. And then on the river, I just make a half pot value bet that isn't going to get called too often. It's an interesting spot if I get raised there. I'd probably look him up in the beginning, even though I think it's probably slightly minus EV call to call a check raise on that board. Flat kings, and decide to value bet, and maybe it goes check check on the turn. Or check check on the river. Here I can't decide what to do. I probably should make a blocking bet because I do think he calls a lot with just like 1 pair on the turn. When he bets the river, I just decide I don't think my hand's good there, so I just decide to muck it. It's not good often enough. I'm pretty aggressive in position, certainly pre-flop. Play almost any 4 PLO, and I'm pretty conservative out of position, as you saw with the kings. I don't really know how he's going to play pot limit Omaha. I don't know if he has a lot of pot limit Omaha experience or whatever. Obviously, it kind of factors in. It's a key in this hand because I'm obviously only really worried about a set of aces, and now on the turn, I'm only worried about aces full. He does make a bet that I think he would make with aces full there in order to get most of the stacks in by the river. And I decided to call and think about it a little more on the river, although obviously I'm leaning very much towards calling. Then on the river, I actually contemplate checking it back. I decided it's just a little too weak in case he did flop a straight or turn a straight or river a straight. I just think it's just I would just feel too dirty checking it back. So I decided to make a small value bet and probably call a check raise all in. Maybe not. I can't say for sure. It was a tough spot. It's I probably make those calls a little too much. He decides to quit me at that point, and I was fine with it because, like I said, I think he played pretty well throughout the whole match, and I was debating myself. I was going to see, well,